What is going on, you guys? My name is Rayge, and we are back today to unpack some of the best characters and team synergies that we can utilize for the upcoming Black Cat trial. So we saw, as you can see on the Marvel Strike Force blog post recently released, that these are the combination team breakdowns that we're going to be needing. So in order to unlock the first time for Black Cat anyways, you need to be going through at least a minimum difficulty of 5, so that way you are going to be going through and getting on the rankings. Having said that, getting a minimum score of 400,000 points. You can see with the specific traits we'll be needing is Mystic Villains, Global Controller, Brawlers, as well as obviously the featured required teams being Knowhere and as well Sinister Six. So back today to unpack at least some of these team combinations, which ones are going to be the most notable. But as well, keep in mind, guys, obviously at the end of the day, we don't really know what these specific packs / scourges are going to be. So that could obviously be a big difference maker. But from what we've seen, typically the future teams, such as, you know, in the last packed event with Nova Trials, we saw that the Masters of Evil excelled, and obviously there is a lot of strong dynamics coming from them. So that was coming from the Cosmic Crucible bonus. I'm expecting to see something for War, just because that is the team that Knowhere is based on, and they're basically slotted as that default team right now. You guys have a chance to get them, especially their character shards and so forth. So having said that, guys, let's get right into it. So first and foremost, missions 3 as well as mission 7 is going to be requiring Mystic Villains. So this is what we're going to be starting things off in terms of the characters and team synergies. But this is a loaded trade section, because there's a lot of powerful characters that we can utilize. I mean, just off the bat, Morgan Le Fay, Doctor Doom, Dormammu. I mean, these are just super endgame characters already being in the meta, as well as them being very useful even in Dark Dimension 6 if you guys have them built up. I think what's really cool about this Mystic Villain category is that, you know, we have 3 out of the 5 members of Darkhold. So Morgan Le Fay, Doctor Strange Heartless, Agatha Harkness. I mean, each and every one of these characters are already strong, and everyone needed to bring them up for obviously the unlock of Apocalypse. So hands down, if you have them 3 already, I think that's a great staple team. If you don't have access to Dormammu, Doctor Doom, their value is going to be there for sure. Another strong character addition is even just having the combination of Hela with Loki, bringing in, you know, obviously that Asgardian synergy. But we have some of these Bifrost members too, right? Like, you know, Team Loki, I believe, yeah, Sylvie's there. So we can have another tandem as well, being part of that Bifrost, Loki, Sylvie, Team Loki, synergies with Hela. There's going to be a lot of theory crafting opportunities, which is what I really like. If you do need some supportive capabilities here, I really do recommend, you know, a supportive role like Ebony Maw. Unfortunately, he's not in the meta anymore, but there is, you know, obviously rumors that Black Order is going to be getting some buffs in the future here. Absorbing Man being part of Masters of Evil, if you built him up for last pact with the Nova Trials, then for sure he's going to have value being a tank and being able to soak up damage. But those are some strong mentions there, guys. Everybody else, aside from the ones I just mentioned, you know, Mr. Negative is a good character. I don't have him built up. I mean, he's a great supportive controller as well. Just being able to bring about his minions and be able to support and do damage and flip positives, right? So that's big. These are all the ones I would highly recommend, just characters that are kind of relevant in the game right now. And what I do like is if you are planning to bring on Ebony Maw, don't forget Thanos. They're going to have some bonuses being together and so forth. And if they do run anything, potentially Thanos can also be granting energy to the adjacent allies, which can obviously help for the abilities. Next up, we have the Global Controller trait. So again, another big bucket and very versatile. We're seeing this for missions 4 and missions 8. And as you can see, Doctor Doom, as I made it noted in my last video, I think he's going to be a really big difference maker because of the fact that he can actually be used in 4 out of the 10 total nodes. That's absolutely huge for value. We see Morgan Le Fay actually being also in that dynamic here. Both of them actually being part of that Mystic Villain as well. So they're going to have huge dividends for for these runs. If you have both of them already, they're going to be covering a lot of ground. I think some other strong mentions here, obviously, is some of the characters that are still in the meta or relevant. So Omega Red I really like because he's just a crowd controlling machine. He's got great speed, and as well, just him to provide that supportive capabilities, and his damage also scales with HP, which is huge. I'm personally planning to bring in Black Widow because of the fact that I already built her up for Dark Dimension 6, so she's going to be absolutely huge for myself. Just being stunned, being able to provide stuns, apply that speed up, and as well, just being able to do some really strong damage because of how she's going to be scaled compared to everyone else with here having Gear Tier 18. Some other strong mentions obviously would be characters that are already in the meta. So I mean, Dark Beast loses a lot of his value not being in raids, but I mean, because of him being a horseman team, he's going to have value as well as synergizing with Magneto. Unfortunately, with Magneto, he is kind of one and done with his abilities, especially with his ultimate costing quite a bit of energy, but being very useful in the beginning. I can see Magneto coming in for a node or two, potentially, just to be able to, you know, blind maybe certain attacks. But otherwise, we got some strong mutant abilities and characters as well. So, I mean, Phoenix can be used as a plug and play just to bring about Dark Phoenix, maybe as a sack team. You know, we have characters like Emma Frost providing the cleanse, being able to hit a blind to prevent damage further on. But yeah, we actually got a really big mix here. Moonstone, if you guys are still, again, synergizing and getting value for that Masters of Evil from the last Trials event here. But other than that, I think those would be some of the stronger mentions here in terms of synergies. I personally just wouldn't recommend these characters with the Astonishing X-Men. So I'm talking about, you know, Jubilee, Iceman, just because they've kind of fell out of the meta quite a bit. But if you're planning to bring in some mutant characters, obviously at the end of the day, you just want to make sure that you can probably use them as a sack team. Another one potentially too that I can just see having some value if you built them up for raids. US Agent and Captain America World War II, both in raid teams. If you have them beefy enough, they could potentially provide some value here, but it's just because they don't have their team synergy. How helpful they'll be probably won't be the best. If you are going to bring in someone, Sharon Carter, I've seen her being used in Dark Dimension 6. She does provide a lot of, you know, crowd controlling aspects with her stun and ability block, but basically Omega Red's a better version of her. So I wouldn't recommend too many of those characters because you still need to obviously focus on damage, right? So personally, Black Widow, Morgan Le Fay, Doctor Doom, Omega Red, and potentially Dark Beast or Magneto for myself. Otherwise, I'm just going to use some of these characters to slot in. So you can see I got 4 solid ones. The 5th one's probably going to be the one that we're going to be dependent on the situation that we're going in. We got the Brawler category as the next trait here being in specifically Missions 5 and Mission 9. So this could be potentially a big bottleneck right before the big Mission 10. So this is the one we want to be keeping our eyes on. But I also think this is the trait that has the most theory crafting out of the 3. And it's really cool because you can see here, like, I think a really cool combination that Dorky Dad mentioned was, you know, bringing in Miss Marvel and then how she actually has the assisted attacks with Hero Brawlers. And there's a lot of good Hero Brawlers on this team. So you can see she's going to be gaining an assist for each Young Avenger or Hero Brawler. And there's a lot of good mentions, guys. So let's take a look at some of them. You know, Val is definitely a Hero Brawler, and being the newest one of the newest characters with Bifrost, some great value there. And Val can actually revive characters as well. We got Red Hulk being one of the best characters in the game, being available with a special and devastating ultimate ability. Deathpool's a good one. You know, just being there to, you know, use her one shot, build up charges. There's just some really, really good versatility. Shang-Chi is probably going to be a lock for myself just because he's got a partial cleanse, but as well being able to reduce turn meter with his devastating ultimate ability. And then you still have some really, really good B options here, like you know, Nebula, Gamora being that dynamic duo from Infinity Watch. And, you know, and keep in mind, only Gamora is the hero side, though Nebula is a villain. So depending on how you kind of want to go with that route, we got Spider-Man Morales and Spider being part of Web Warriors too. But again, because they're not really as relevant in the meta, some folks may not have them built up, but you can still use them going forward if the Pestilence Scourge does remain for Morgan Le Fay. So just some value there. I personally planning to bring in Val, Red Hulk, likely Deathpool, Shang-Chi, and Miss Marvel, and then I'll slot in other characters if need be. But there's some really, really good options. What I also like about this Brawler trait is that Thor Infinity War and Star-Lord Annihilation, both being Knowhere characters, can also be used. Oh, and let's not forget about Quicksilver. I don't have him built up as high as I want yet, but he's one of the best characters in the game as well. So I mean, in this subset, there's just a lot of good combinations and characters that we should be aware of. And obviously, like I said, these are the ones that I have built up, but it's not an exhaustive list, guys. There's some really good combinations here that we can definitely utilize. Last but not least, guys, I want to talk about my Masters of Evil team real quick right before I jump into my Knowhere discussion, because I want to showcase for you. This is the team that got the job done in terms of getting the 1.35 million in the last run. And you can see here, to be honest, I don't actually have a lot of them built up, and you already saw my Quicksilver. So really, the difference maker was my Kang. The reason I'm highlighting this, guys, is because I feel like a lot of folks are, really prone to feel like they need to bring up every single character for this to be successful. But really, I think you only need 1 or 2 really powerful characters in your main team for the traits, and you'll be good. So you can see here, Kang really does take the cake here, and obviously being in Dark Dimension 6, his stats are just so much better than everyone else. The second runner-up is Ultron, being gear tier 15, level 80. So I'm planning to apply that same strategy to the current approach here. So if I show you guys now my Knowhere team, it's gonna be kind of a similar format. I'm probably gonna stop around the level 75 mark for 3 out of my 5 characters here. And to be honest, I'm leaning on Nova, obviously bringing him potentially to Dark Dimension 6 as well, so I can even push him up higher. But that's gonna be the game plan. He's gonna be the Kang equivalent for myself. But as well, we need more damage. We need more damage coming from this team, and I feel like Thor Infinity War is going to be that character for here, especially with how devastating his ultimate ability is, being able to clear barrier and attacking, piercing, and offense down and defense down. I feel like these two are going to be really paving grounds in terms of pushing deeper and deeper. The good news is, though, if you guys want to slot in another character that's powerful and likely built up, Doc Ock, most folks have Doc Ock built up if they previously used him in Dark Dimension 5. So he could be a good character in terms of being a slot in if you don't have the full Knowhere team. But other than that, I know with Korg and Cosmo, they got a lot of supportive buffs and being able to soak up damage. So good characters, but I don't know how high I'm going to push, especially with the gear tier requirements. It's just something we need to be mindful of, right? And I like Star-Lord Annihilation, but again, it really just depends on once we see the event, how can we make the most of his abilities, because a lot of it does come war. And if we don't get those war buffs, then that's going to be the difference maker here. But that's kind of my game plan, guys, in terms of bringing up my Knowhere team. Nova is probably going to be a bit higher. My Thor Infinity War is probably going to be level 80 at least. And then we're going to see how we do in terms of the playthroughs. But I'll keep you guys up to date. This is what was able to get me done in the Nova trial. So hopefully we can find that same success. But we won't know until the coming weeks where the events do come. So do appreciate your guys as always. Let me know what you think in comments below if you guys are thinking of something similar strategies. I'd love to connect with you all. Thank you as always, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.